7th of July 2025. Kenya marks Saba, and as you know, there are protests expected. Kuna maandamano inexpectiwa. Can you see there? See there? Kuna maandamano expectiwa, and actually yeah, tuna expect maandamano, and vile tulikuwa tunapita, Kenyans, our eyes are on our roads. Macho yote yako kwenye barabarani, and the information we are getting is that majority of roads, especially here at Nairobi, ziko closed. Yeah, ziko closed kabisa, na maaskari wanaweza kuamrisha kila mtu ambaye anatumia barabara ili aweze kujitambulisha, aweze kujiidentify ni nani, aweze kutoa especially document zake, ndio aweze kupata nafasi ya kupita ya kupita. So watu wameweza kuwa wamejiidentify, and if you don't have a valid reason why unaweza pita kwenye barabara, then you are not allowed to use the road. So Kenyans, take precaution. Majority of roads, especially in Nairobi, ziko closed, na watu wana undergo a very intense scrutiny so that they identify themselves. Na kama kuna valid documents, especially for journalists, lazima uji-identify, especially from the top, and mpaka kwa station ama channel unafanya kazi, so lazima uji-identify. So we are waiting to see how the things are going to unfold. Yesterday, serikali ya Kenya ya Mheshimiwa Ruto iliweza kupitia kwa waziri wa usalama Mr. Murkomen, waliweza kutoa onyo kabisa ya watu ambayo wangeleta furugu katika maandamano ama protest, ama watu ambao wana participate kwa Saba ama 7-7, waweza kutoa onyo dhidi ya wakora ambayo watajiunga na probably the protesters, na nimewaweka in quotes. So in short, before I take you to our roads, before niwapeleke moja kwa moja kwa barabara muone venye mambo yanaendelea, let me remind you what Saba means. I have information about the same, because there are those who don't understand. That is why Raila Amolo Odinga gave a statement yesterday, na mkasema kwamba ameweza kutumwa na rais. Personally, I don't like Rais William Samoei Ruto. I don't like the way he governed this nation, but let's not hide. The reality is there. The reality is Raila Amolo Odinga is the reason why probably Saba is being celebrated in the country. So for those who are criticizing yet, mzee tunakujua wewe sasa umetumwa na Ruto, wewe observe table manners, ya kwamba wewe weze ku observe table manners, those you don't understand the meaning of Saba. So here is the meaning of Saba. Saba in Kenya literally means 7-7 in Swahili, referring to the date July 7th. So historical meaning ya Saba ni kwamba Saba is a very significant date in Kenya's political history. On July 7th, 1990, that is 35 years ago, pro-democracy activists led a major rally and the protest demanding multi-party democracy, opposing the one-party rule under President Daniel Torotich Arap Moi. This day marked a turning point in Kenya's struggle for political freedom and constitutional reforms. The protests were met with brutal police crackdown, arrests, and crashes, but they catalyzed the push that eventually led to reintroduction of multi-party politics in 1991. So today, Saba is often used symbolically to refer to citizens' call for justice, democracy, and good governance. Activists sometimes organize a demonstration or a public forum on this day to highlight civil rights issues, corruption, or bad governance. So Saba is more than a date. It is a symbol of Kenya's democratic struggle and a reminder of power of civic actions. So, Saba is symbolic. So you have heard. So for those who are saying, oh, Baba is the main reason Raila Amolo Odinga. I may not like the way he joined the broad-based government with the oppressor, William Samoei Ruto, but if you don't know the meaning of Saba, then there's no reason why you should be out to protest. This is the day it is symbolic actually. We are supposed to gather somewhere and do a protest for any injustice. Yes. So, after independence in 1963, Kenya started as a multi-party state. However, in 1982, the ruling party, KANU, Kenya African National Union, made Kenya the one party state through a constitutional amendment. Political dissent and suppressed detention without trial and police crackdown were common. By the late 1980s, economic hardship, corruption, and political oppression made Kenya civil society group, church leaders, and the intellectual demand change. A group of opposition politicians and activists started organizing the allowing more political party. So Saba rally of 1990, the leaders were Kenneth Matiba, Charles Rubia, Reverend Timothy Njoya, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, Kenya's first VP, Vice President and long-time opposition figure. They called, so I haven't seen the name of Raila Odinga, but Raila Odinga participated, particularly 1990. So they called a rally at Nairobi Kamkunji grounds on July 17, 1990 to push for free election and multi-party democracy. What happened? Nini ilifanyika then? The government declared the rally illegal. Many leaders were arrested and detained without trial. Matiba and Rubia were detained. Matiba and Rubia, umesikia? Yes. So police responded with tear gas, batons, and live bullets. Those who were injured, some died. Wengine walipoteza maisha during that day. This marked the state of open defiance against Moi's regime. So why is this day important? Siku hii ikoaje muhimu? So the resistance of Saba inspired international pressure on Moi's regime to reform, more local protests like the Second Liberation Movement. 1991, Kanu was forced to repeal Section 2A of the Constitution, reintroducing multi-party democracy. Kenya held a fine multi-party election in 1992. Saba today. Anniversaries, activists, civil society, and a politician or a political group mark July 7th with protests, memorial or calls for reforms. 2. Modern causes. Reasons Saba days are focused on anti-corruption, human rights, electoral justice, youth unemployment, police brutality, and constitutional amendments. Symbolism. It remains rallying cry for Kenyans to stand up against oppression and bad government. See, so here's the fact. Listen very carefully. The Kamkunji grounds in Nairobi, where Saba was staged, is historically symbolic. It was also a venue for freedom rallies during the colonial era, especially by Jomo Kenyatta and Mau Mau movement. So, legacy, Saba is part of Kenya's second liberation history. The Kenya who pushed for democracy often faced detention, torture, exile, and death. Many of today's senior politicians and activists build their careers and their reputation during that time. So that is Saba. So for those who are asking Raila Odinga's contribution, because I saw yesterday some were actually saying, oh, Baba, why are you talking this? Why? Leave us. This is for Gen Z. Gen Z. Do you know Raila Amolo Odinga, as much as I don't agree with him, with his decision to join the government, is the main reason why you are going to mark this day, Saba. Here is the reason. So, Raila Odinga, son of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, was not one of the original Saba rally conveners like Matiba or Rubia, but he was deeply involved in the broader second liberation struggle that Saba symbolizes. In the late 1980s and the earlier 1990s, Raila Odinga was an outspoken critic of President Moi one-party dictatorship. So he became key figure in pushing for multi-party democracy through underground organizing, mobilization, and open defiance against that caused him dearly. In fact, ilimfanya mpaka aweza kuwekwa korokoroni, ambapo alipatwa na mateso, ikiwemo ile anashindana akilia akijipanguza machozi hadharani. Si kupenda bali ni mateso kupitia tu kwa hii the call for justice and pointing Moi, President Daniel Toroitich arap Moi's bad governance. So in short, Raila was detained multiple times, about 9 years in total. Mnakumbuka watoto Gen Z, some of you might not actually know this, but this is history. So if you don't know, you can read about history so that when you make decisions, you do it knowing what you are doing. So He was first detained in 1982 after the failed military coup attempt against his Moise regime. He was accused of collaborating with the coup protesters and detained without trial in 6 years. So alishikwa ati alijaribu kusaidiana na wenye walikuwa wana attempt basi kumng'atua ama bring that coup in 1982 na aliweza kufungwa kwa without trial kwa miaka karibu 9 hivi, ambapo alisukumiwa mateso na kadhalika. After his release, he continued to join forces with other pro-democracy activists, including his father, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, the first Kenyan vice president. So other links with Saba. While Matiba and Rubia were the visible faces of Saba in 1990, Raila worked behind the scenes to mobilize opposition forces. So he helped organize underground cells, distribute leaflets, coordinate activities that led to this. So you have heard why Raila Odinga narrative, why Raila matters in Saba. He paid the price through torture, detention, and exile. That's one. His fight gave courage and other opposition figure. He kept alive the idea that led democracy must be fought for, not handed down. So bottom line, Raila Amolo Odinga was not the headline leader on July 7, 1990, but was part of the critical forces that, 1, sustained the pressure before Saba, 2, pushed for reforms afterwards, and number 3, kept the pre-democracy spirit alive in this day. So, mmeweza kusikia the history. So, as we mark this day, Saba, we all understand the meaning of this day. So, from the information nimegata is that majority of roads, especially here Nairobi, zimekuwa closed kabisa. And for you to pass, you must first identify yourself. So nimeona waaskari wengi sana wakiweza kushika kabisa waki-ensure that for you to pass you have to identify yourself. So na vile mnajua this day there could be more than what you think will happen. So we are not yet to know. We're waiting to see how this day is going to unfold. But the truth is there will be protests. Raila Odinga himself yesterday alikuja wazi na kusema kwamba all roads will lead to Kamkunji. But this Saba protest is going to be different from the previous. Because of why? Raila Amolo Odinga is in broad-based government. Raila Amolo Odinga is the reason why majority wanaendanga ku demonstrate na ku mark this day Saba. Now that he said yesterday that all roads will lead to Kamkunji grounds, and we know Raila Amolo Odinga are working together under the broad-based umbrella with the President William Samoei Ruto. So they are going to say a few things there and then they call it a day. Wakamilishe. That is unlike the previous years where he called for reforms. He called for government to address youth unemployment. He stood very firm to fight for Kenyans. This is not going to happen. unless the Gen Zs are going to abandon Raila Odinga's cause and they take part, they take center for today's protest, calling off the government to address their grievances. But as you remember from yesterday or from the previous, after the previous demonstrations, majority of leaders, including the opposition led by Fred Matiang'i, have called for a dialogue. And even yesterday, Raila Amolo Odinga echoed the words from opposition leaders, especially Fred Matiang'i, that there is a need for dialogue for the government to hear vijana wanasema nini. So several leaders, including Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, Fred Matiang'i, have called for a dialogue between the youth, Gen Zs, and the government of President William Samoei Ruto. Now, as we talk, it is 9 a.m. asubuhi, na vile tumeweza kuona from our roads, there is no activity. Maduka imefungwa hapa jijini Nairobi, and the information I'm getting from several parts of the country, in Nakuru, in Mombasa, in Nyeri, maduka hakuna shughuli ambazo zinaendelea, na mapolisi, every presence of police wako kwa barabara ku ensure that there is maximum security during today's protest Saba. So and especially in Nairobi, venye nimeweza kukufahamisha ni kwamba polisi wameshika kabisa, na wapita wenye wanapass lazima waji-identify. You have to produce an ID. I don't know how ID itatumika ku identify that you are not a protester ama you are not planning anything hivyo. I don't know. Unless they tell us that probably they are expecting, ama they have information that this protest might get some intruders from outside the country. So we are just waiting to see how the things is going to unfold. Na Wakenya ni kwamba from the previous demonstrations, especially tuache tu hata ya Saba, after that from last year kumekuwa na demonstrations. Mnakumbuka on 25th June last year ndio kulianza na majenziz, na mliona vile maaskari waliweza kufanya vibaya kabisa, kwa wengine wakakuuliwa katika in the course. So majority of Kenyans feel like it is not actually a good idea kwenda kwa street, so that in fact ati kufaitia right zetu munauliwa na mapolisi. So Kenyans feel like it is not idea, and the government were actually criticized. Why should you kill innocent Kenyans, innocent youth? Si goods, wamebeba tu simu, wamebeba tu maji. Why should you kill them? Yeah, it doesn't make sense, yo. But look, Gen Zs walisema hawaogopi kitu. Ati Gen Z kitu tu wanaogopa ni ujimoto na kuoa. That is the only fear for Gen Zs. And it was expected that they were not going to, after seeing what happened in that first protest, ati awangeingia in the next protest. But yo, look, there has been 2 to 3 protests, demonstration in Kenya, and Gen Z wamejitokeza kabisa, wamejitokeza kwa wingi kabisa ku fight for their rights. They don't fear eti wanaweza uliwa na polisi. They are not fearless, they are tribeless. Na the more we fear them, the more the government intimidate, try to spread fear to them, the more wanajitokeza, the more they mobilize, the more they come in the street, the more they unite. So the government is not going to do anything about it. So the only thing, in fact, is to sit down with them. But they can't sit with everybody. They don't have leaders. And that is a good cause. So the government should address what they are fighting for. Kama ni unemployment, the government should ensure that address in a manner wanaweza elewa, kwa sababu bila hiyo they are not going to stop anytime soon. So vitu kama hizi masaba siku kama hizi za kumbukizi tu, symbolic days like this, they take advantage of them to actually voice their views as far as especially things like unemployment, things like economy imekuwa mbaya and ni vitu tu za maana, because ukiangalia the things agencies are calling for ni vitu ni vitu tu zinazo affect in everyday's life, and the majority, especially those working with the government of President William Samoei Ruto, imesema kwamba ati hawa majamaa Gen Zs ati they are being sponsored. There is a sponsor somewhere, especially one or two opposition figures. They have mentioned the name of Riggy G. Hi cousin. They have mentioned the name of Riggy G to be the top financier of this group. New information which I can't verify at the moment, but we are just scrutinizing everything so that I can attach if there is any evidence. But the name of Rigathi Gachagua has been associated with the one that is the one who usually finance this particular group. But you can't finance everybody in Kenya. No, the demonstration what Kisii, Meru, Nakuru, in fact majority, more than 50% of parts of the country will participate in a demonstration. But with today's demonstration or a protest be different from the previous? What do you think? Drop your comment in the comment section. Don't forget also to like this video. Remember also to subscribe to this channel. Turn on the notification bell so that you are notified every time we post a new video like this. This is Born TV Kenya, bring you live coverage and the reports and the updates on how the demonstration inaendelea ama how Kenyans are going to mark this day. So kwa ufupi, wacha nikwambie kwa sababu yesterday Raila Amolo Odinga alisema kitu na Wakenya wakaongea vibaya kabisa. Some of them probably hawajui mahali Raila Odinga alianzia na hii Sabasaba. So this is a brief history, na wengi sana wamekuwa wanauliza ya kwamba Raila Amolo Odinga anahusika aje na vitu ya Gen Zs. They don't know Sabasaba, in other words, inamaanisha Raila Amolo Odinga. So the only thing that Gen Z wanaweza fanya, let us take to advantage of the day with general knowledge about the meaning of Sabasaba. So Raila Odinga amehusika aje na mambo yote ya Sabasaba, for those who are asking and for those who don't understand. So Raila Odinga ni mwana wa Jaramogi Oginga Odinga ambaye alikuwa the first vice president of Kenya. Hakuwa mmoja wa waandalizi wakuu wa mkutano wa kwanza Sabasaba mnamo Julai 7, 1990 kama vile Kenneth Matiba na Charles Rubia, lakini alikuwa sehemu muhimu ya harakati za kupinga utawala wa chama kimoja na kushinikiza demokrasia vyama vingi. So mchango wake, na ukumbuke Raila Amolo Odinga alikamatwa na kufungwa. So Raila Odinga alifungwa bila mashtaka kwa jumla ya karibu miaka 9, 9 years without trial. Surely. Mara ya kwanza alikamatwa 1982 baada ya jaribio la mapinduzi ya kijeshi lililoshindwa dhidi ya utawala wa Moi. Alishtakiwa kwa kushirikiana na wapinga ama wenye walikuwa wanapinga mapinduzi na kufungwa kwa zaidi ya miaka 9 bila kufikishwa mahakamani. Baada ya kuachiliwa, hakukaa kimya, aliungana tena na wanaharakati na baba yake Jaramogi kupigania demokrasia. Wakati Matiba na Rubia walipokuwa wakipanga mikutano ya Sabasaba, Raila Odinga alishirikiana kwa njia za chini, yani alikuwa chini ya maji, behind the scenes, kusambaza ujumbe na kuhamasisha wananchi. Alikuwa kiungo kati ya wazee kama baba yake na vijana waliojitoa kupinga utawala wa Moi. So baada ya Sabasaba na kufutwa kwa vipengele vya ama kipengele cha katiba kilichokuwa Kenya kuwa nchi ya chama kimoja, kilikuwa kinasema ya kwamba Kenya ikuwe na chama kimoja, ama kipengele cha 2A, Raila alishirikiana na baba yake kuunda chama cha Ford, yani Forum for the Restoration and Democracy. Baadaye Ford iligawanyika. Raila aliongoza upande wa Ford Kenya na kuelekeza mapambano ya uchaguzi huru na marekebisho ya katiba. Urithi. Raila ameendelea kujulikana kama kiongozi wa ukombozi wa pili. Amekuwa mstari wa mbele kupigania mageuzi ya katiba kama katiba ya 2010, ugatuzi ama devolution na haki ya uchaguzi. Siku hizi kila Julai 7 ama Sabasaba, Raila na wenzake wanakumbusha Wakenya kuhusu umuhimu wa kulinda uhuru uhuru wa kidemokrasia. So Raila Odinga amehesabiwa kama shujaa wa harakati za kidemokrasia. Aliteswa, akafungwa na hata akaishi uhamishoni. Alionyesha mfano wa ujasiri na kujitolea kwa ajili ya wananchi. Alifanya kazi kwa karibu na mashujaa wengine kama Matiba, Rubia na baba yake Jaramogi kupigania haki za Wakenya. Leo hii Raila mara nyingi hutumia kumbukumbu za Sabasaba kuwakumbusha viongozi wa Kenya kuwa number 1, uhuru wa demokrasia au kuja bure. Raia wanapaswa kulinda na kushinikiza uongozi bora. Namba 3, mapambano dhidi ya ufisadi, wizi na ukandamizaji hayaishi. Kwa ufupi, Raila Odinga ni sehemu ya neno la Sabasaba. I told you. I told you. I told you. Sauti hipo? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, kwa ufupi, Raila Odinga ni sehemu ya neno ya Sabasaba na uongozi wa pili wa Kenya. Alisimama kidete kupinga udikteta aliweka maisha yake hatarini kwa ajili ya uhuru wa kisiasa unaofurahiwa Kenya leo. So wacha tungoje, we are just waiting to see how things are going to unfold today. And nimeanza kuona picha za moja kwa moja zinasema kwamba kuna baadhi ya Wakenya ambao wamejitokeza. Kumbuka hapo awali tuliona heavy police presence na ilikuwa inasimamisha Wakenya ili kujitambulisha, to identify themselves. As I can see there are also kuna a number of police wamekuwa added, na baadhi ya wananchi in some parts wameweza kujitokeza. And the information I'm getting here ni kwamba Nakuru wananchi wanajitokeza kabisa kwa wingi, and I'm going to bring you those live pictures on the screen so that you can have a look at them. So ni siku ambayo tunatarajia ya kwamba kukue na anything can happen because of recent past. You have observed these demonstrations, especially organized by Gen Zs, but as much as this one looks so different because it has a different idea, the Gen Zs do not understand. They don't understand. So they gonna be on street to just raise their concerns. They gonna take advantage of this day, and it is their right because this day is symbolic. So we are just waiting to see how the whole thing is going to unfold. Remember, Raila Odinga yesterday gave a statement and he said that is going to lead a protest or something like that, and how roads are heading to Kamkunji grounds. Remember, this is the grounds, this is the place where the first meeting in 1990 took place, so which led to his arrest. Raila Amolo Odinga, together with other leaders, he was detained for more than or about 9 years without trial. So ladies and gentlemen, barabara zimefungwa especially in Nairobi. That is the information I'm getting. Na Wakenya ambayo aswa wenye wanaenda makazi zao wameweza kuwa blocked, and some of them have since returned, and those without proper documentation wameweza kuambiwa waweze kurudi tu nyumbani. Wanabiashara wamefunga biashara zao, and the majority of shops have been closed. Banks zimekuwa closed, baadhi ya institution zimekuwa closed. So in short, there's no big activities zinaendelea jijini Nairobi. So na baadhi ya sehemu zingine as per the information we are getting is that everything is going smooth, especially in a slow pace than normal. So it is expected that hii siku inaweza kuwa chaotic just like the previous demonstrations. So the youth, especially this group yenye imeemerge, this community called Gen Zs ama vijana, waliapa ya kwamba from yesterday they gonna fill the street, they gonna raise their concerns about the government, they gonna demonstrate for injustice and justice. So I don't know your views, your take in the today's protest, in today's memorial of Saba Saba. You can drop your comment in the comment section below. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, turn on the notification bell so that you are notified every time we post a new video. Remember hizo one-on-one from the kila place ya Kenya, kila place ya Kenya tutakuletea hizo picha za moja kwa moja vile tunazipata, but the information ni kwamba road zote especially here in Nairobi zimekuwa closed. Kila Mkenya ambaye anapita hizo barabara anakuwa forced kujitambulisha, to identify him or herself with proper documentation. For example, kama we ni journalist, you have to provide or to produce your identification documents, and the documents which shows that you are accredited journalist, especially from the media house you are working on or you are working for. So there are those who wameambiwa hawezi kurudi nyumbani, especially kama hauna proper documentation. So biashara huku Nairobi ziko chini, maduka kadhaa yamefungwa, hata si kufungwa pekee, bali kufungwa proper. Watu especially the businessmen, business persons wamejifunza kutoka kwa protest of the previous and wamefunga vilivyo, wameweka security, si security ya polisi bali their own security. Wametumia machuma mazito kuweza kuprotect their business. Remember the previous protest wanakuwa wanasema that kuna intruders wengi sana wana take advantage of the demonstration to terrorize and to steal from otherwise innocent Kenyans. So majority of businessmen Kenyans have lost a significant sehemu kubwa ya mali yao kwa wauni, so they are equally prepared. So totally 90% ama let's call 95%, because from the pictures you can see that there is in out of 10, out of 100, 95 zimefunga, banki zimefunga, baadhi ya institution shule zimefunga. They have advised their children ama parents to not to let their children waende shule. Duka zimefungwa, hakuna biashara kabisa. Leave alone that nobody is allowed to access the CBD unless you have a proper identification documents. Public vehicles haziruhusiwi kabisa kuingia CBD. So we are monitoring closely the situation especially here in Nairobi, so that tukuletee uweze kuona venye mambo yako. I don't know what you have to say about today's Saba Saba of which they have said they are going to protest, and now that you know the meaning of Saba Saba, I don't know what you have to say. Maybe you may let me know in the comment section. And this is Bon TV, stay tuned. Tutakuletea hizo picha moja kwa moja. What do you have to say, Ruth? Are you ready to bring us more updates? Is there any update? Na situation za barabara ziko aje? Ziko sawa, but we saw majority za barabara especially here in Nairobi ziko closed. We have seen the live pictures, polisi wakisema kwamba wakilazimisha kabisa wananchi ambao walijaribu kuaccess the CBD kuproduce their documentation. That is what we saw, right? So right now situation ziko aje kwa ground? Okay, when you are ready unaweza tuletea so that tuonyeshe venye chinzi mambo yanaendelea, but ni kwamba kuna baadhi ya Wakenya tunaona ambao wameweza kujitokeza, although there is a heavy presence of police. There is a heavy presence of police in the majority of our roads, especially here at Nairobi. That is the information, that is the current information. Ukiwa tayari utuambie, right? Ukiwa ready tuambie. So yesterday, Raila Odinga said something. I want you to listen to Raila Odinga, what he said yesterday.
It was a very noble idea. Saba was meant to bring the people together for a common cause. This cause was change. And we decided that we would go to Kamkunji ground, which is historical ground. This is where the last CAU, Kenya African Union meeting, was held in 1952 before the declaration of the state of emergency. That's again where, when they allowed for formation of political parties, again, the first rally of KAN was held in Kamkunji. So Kamkunji, that's also why eventually when they lifted Section 2A and allowed for formation of political parties, the first party to be registered was the Forum for Restoration of Democracy. The first rally was held at Kamkunji. So we say that the Kamkunji has got a historical meaning, and that's why we wanted to go there. So what we're saying is that if you want to remember Saba, then we go to Kamkunji. I always go to Kamkunji, even quietly, but I always go there on Saba Day to just go and remember the people who lost their lives there. So my idea would be we go to Kamkunji tomorrow, because if you're talking about protesting, you are protesting, where is this protest going to start and where is it going to? My view would be the road should lead to Kamkunji. Then in Kamkunji, people meet there.
So this is Raila Odinga saying that all roads today will lead to Kamkunji grounds.
To me, that would be the best way to remember people who have died fighting for the right to the people.
So that is Raila Odinga, the one of the founder. He was not really the founder, but alikuwa amefanya kazi ya muhimu sana chini ya maji, all behind the scenes, for this particular day, Saba, marking that 5 years from 1990, ambapo hii Saba iliweza kuformiwa, which led to the arrest and the detain of Raila Odinga zaidi ya miaka 9 without trial. So we are just waiting to see how the whole thing is going to unfold.
Na kutafuta as earlier, the roads today is not very good. Most of them have been barricaded in anticipation of the Saba protest. And now let's cross over to the coastal city of Mombasa, where our very own Francis Mtalaki is on standby. Mtalaki.
Okay, all the roads. Let's listen to this.
Good morning. So far, everything is going on well with regard to the update that we've been able to move around this CBD. We can be able to see some of the traffic going very quite well. But also, we've seen a contingent of police officers from each and every corner of the city. Case in point where we are, you can see that the number of police officers are seated there, just manning this area, making sure that everything is going on smoothly. And along this road, you can see also transport is going on well. But what is like is that most of the businesses remain closed for the better part of this morning. This morning, by now, most of the businessmen should have been open by now, but we have moved around the city. Most of the shops remain closed, but what we've observed that police officers are manning this area, especially the central business district, and what we can be able to report also at the Mombasa SGR terminus, that those passengers who were stranded yesterday is quite chaotic. The Kenya Railway has informed all those passengers to be at the SGR, because the 10 p.m. SGR is meant to leave for Mombasa to Nairobi at around 10:30 a.m. today. So all those passengers will be coming to Nairobi from 10 a.m. to heading to Nairobi. So that is one of the updates that we'll be able to receive from the other side of the SGR, and all some of the passengers were already moving in while we were there a while ago. And so that is the latest from this city, but of course we'll be keeping you posted minute by minute whatever will be happening here, if there will be any changes in terms of the situation in Mombasa.
So as you can see, the situation in Mombasa is calm, but businesses zimekuwa closed, roads are not too busy, yes. So as at this time Mombasa pia iko too calm, there's nothing much inaendelea. Biashara, most of the business zimekuwa closed, as you have heard from this reporter. Na But we are just waiting to see. We're waiting to see. We're monitoring the situation on the ground closely to ensure that all this imeweza kukufikia so that you can just see how this today is going to unfold. So what's new? I don't know chenye kinaendelea on your side, but as you can see from the pictures, Nairobi bado iko closed, bado hakuna vitu mingi zinaendelea, na biashara zimefungwa, roads zimekuwa zimefungwa. There is heavy presence of police in the city. Maduka mengi zimefungwa na baadhi magari tu ni machache yanayo ama yako kwenye barabara. We are just monitoring the situation closely na tutakuletea picha za moja kwa moja. DG ameweza kutoa hii taarifa, nataka msikize kwa makini.
Getting to CBD, everybody's going for duty as normal. No worries. But that is not true. That is not what we are seeing. What have you seen? We have seen, myself and some of the colleagues that I've seen have been turned away on several roadblocks from Nairobi, coming through Thika Road. Several roadblocks we've seen Kenyans being turned away. That's why we want to understand whether there was any criteria, sir. But you've been here. You've been here. You've been here. You've not been turned away. And you'll not be turned away. Ours is just to urge everybody to keep peace and conformity within the rule of law. All right. Thank you very much. Gilbert Masengeli there.
That is DIG akiassure Kenyans that everything is good, but that is not the case. No, we have seen majority of Kenyans wakikuwa turned away. They are not allowed to access the CBD. They are not allowed to go to their businesses. They are not allowed to go to their offices. Seen Kenyans being asked to identify themselves, to produce their identification documents, and if you all have the ID identification document, you are turned away unless you are people like journalists, police, and any of that nature. But majority of people have been turned away. No public vehicle, especially here in Nairobi, is allowed to access the CBD. So what the DIG Gilbert Masengeli is saying is a total lie.
No gathering. However, perhaps we'll get to understand later why that happened. But we continue covering you, giving you this coverage from Nairobi CBD and its environs, telling you how it is on this 7th day of July 2025. The city is on a clear lockdown. Nothing is going on. And we have spoken about this before. We have spoken about the kind of economic loss that we are seeing by this happening. The businesses that are not opening. You can see workers who are getting to the office and they're being told, like we spoke earlier, to that gentleman who was told to go back home and work from home, despite a government directive from the CS of Public Service, Geoffrey Roko, for civil servants to go to work. So really not clear. An ambulance there headed to one of the hospitals. Like I said, vehicles are finding it easy getting out of town. but very difficult getting into town. I have actually recorded using my phone a video of an ambulance trying to get into town and sent away. That I have, and I will be sharing that particular video to for us and our producers to broadcast it. Even ambulances are allowed to get out of the CBD, but not into the CBD, as I have captured, and I'll show you those pictures in a moment as I send it to our producers to just show you the state that is Nairobi City this particular morning.
Okay, you have heard. The DIG amesema kwamba Nairobi unaweza access, but kinani kwamba we have seen live pictures police wanna turn away anybody who tries to access Nairobi CBD. Workers have been told to work from home. That is an instruction, not from the employer, but from the police. So the police have since been instructed to turn away anybody from accessing CBD. That is the situation on the ground, and that is the situation in the majority of cities like Mombasa, but especially in Nairobi, things are not the same. We are monitoring the situation closely na tutakuletea tukipata information zaidi. Zidi kutufuatilia kusubscribe, turn on the notification bell so that you are notified every time we post a new video. Tutaenda tukuandalie this and other news so that you get informed. Kumbuka lengo letu ni kukufahamisha na kukuelimisha na kukuburudisha pia, so that you can know what is happening in the country. We are monitoring the situation closely. Keep this channel. I don't know what you have to say. Maybe you go down in the comment section and drop your comment there. So until then, this is Born TV Kenya. We are out. Metoka